searching for this all my life. You're just my type. I've been looking for a boy who can treat me right. Your dark hair, but those eyes so bright. They look into my soul.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another week of Scheananigans. I am just here solo in the studio this week because I just felt like I needed a moment, just me and you guys. You sent in a lot of questions, and I'm going to get into those in just a bit. But before we do, I wanted to take a moment just to say thank you. So many of you listening have been a part of my journey for so many years now, whether you've followed along through the show, this podcast, my vlogs, social media. Y'all have constantly checked in with me through every chapter. And no matter if it was the highs, the lows, the cringe, everything in between. And I just want to say I truly appreciate you for being on this journey with me because it's been a very tough week. On Monday, my first baby, my sweet girl Penny Lane, crossed over the Rainbow Bridge peacefully at home. Thanks to Peaceful Pause, I didn't even know this was a possibility. I had an appointment for her at 5 p.m. because Sunday night things just started to take a turn, and she was wobbling around, and then she was on the carpet, and it looked like she was in the position where she was gonna go to the bathroom. And I was like, whoa, what is going on? She's never 17 years done that. And Brock picked her up and tried to take her in the litter box, and she didn't make it. And then the next morning I called the vet because I was just gonna take her in for an appointment. But when she hopped off of her love sack chair where she liked to sleep if she wasn't in front of the fireplace, she slid on the wood floor, and then she couldn't really walk, and she couldn't get in the litter box again. And it just I could just see that she was in pain. And so I gave her a little bit of gabapentin because we had that for Kiwi after his surgery. And I was just like, I don't want her to be in pain. Let me just give her the tiniest dose, and then she'll be okay for, her appointment. And it just, I knew that she wasn't going to make it to that appointment. And if we made it to that appointment, I knew what kind of appointment it was going to be. And I was talking to Christy and Maddie, and Christy was like, well, why don't you have someone come over to the house? And I didn't even know that was an option. As an adult, I've never had to say goodbye to an animal. This was my first. And I just knew she would be happiest in her bed by the fireplace. And it could not have been more peaceful. I'm like, I've experienced a lot of loss in my life, but this has been a unique kind of pain, and one that I haven't experienced before. I had a black lab named Blue. I got her when I was 5 years old, and we had to say goodbye to her when I was 20. My dad took her. I couldn't even do it, but was different. She lived with my grandparents. It wasn't like my dog I took on walks every single day. When I moved in with my grandma when I was in college, she slept with me every night, and I watched her deteriorate, and that was hard. But this was different. Like, Penny Lane was, she was the cat that made people want a cat. She is the reason I have 4 other cats now, and she has been the constant through so many seasons of my life, like from a tiny little studio apartment in Hollywood to the Vegas Strip to the marina, the desert in the pandemic, down to the beach in San Diego, back to marina, and then finally to the valley. And she was there for all of it. And I remember when we moved into this house, I was like, Penny, I promise, like, you're not gonna have to move anymore. Like, you will die in this house. And I didn't mean like literally in this house, but I knew that that's where she would be happiest. And at peace. So we sat in front of the fireplace and the doctor came over, and genuinely, it could not have been more peaceful. But like, this cat, man, I mean, she was with me through my single days, my married days, my divorce, my desperate era, cringe days, my miscarriage. Like, it was literally just me, Penny, and Salem in Palm Springs when I was going through my miscarriage until Brock got there. She was with me through my whole pregnancy, through motherhood. That's Summer's first pet, her and Salem. And like, no matter what life looked like, I was truly never alone because I always had her by my side. Like, every single time I would do a cameo video and she would see me holding up the phone, she would just come, walk over into the kitchen, hop up on the couch, meow. So, like, if you've ever gotten a cameo from me before, Penny Lane has most likely made an appearance in it. Even the night before we put her down, she hopped into one of my last cameo videos and she just loved to be on camera. You saw her all 11 seasons on Vanderpump Rules. And I mean, she was just the best girl. And it's still hard to talk about her in the past tense because it's like, I can't believe that now when I walk in the house, she's not laying there by the fireplace. It just feels so empty. Even though I have 4 other cats running around the house, there's a hole. And while her physical body may no longer be with us, I truly believe her spirit still is. And I hold on to the hope that one day we will find each other again. She'll come back to me in another way, another kitten, or I don't know, just until I cross that rainbow bridge and see her there. But I just want to thank everyone who loved her alongside me for acknowledging her, asking about her over the years, and just sending her so much love. It was just a few days ago I posted for International Cat Day, and everyone's like, oh my God, Penny, Salem, they're still with you. They're good. I'm like, yeah, they're good. And the next day, it just out of nowhere. And as much as I knew she had kidney disease, she had anemia, she had these issues, she was doing good, and then she just stopped eating, and it really did happen quick. And we never get enough time with the ones we love, but I will always be grateful for the 17 beautiful years we shared together, because that is just, it's a long time to have a cat. And it was many seasons of life she did with me. So thank you to everyone who has sent sweet messages, commented on my post. It really, truly means a lot to me. Friends that I haven't talked to in a while who have reached out, and it just, it means a lot. So I just needed to acknowledge her before I get into all of y'all's questions. I'm just gonna take a quick break, get a tissue, and regroup, and then we will be back to get into all of your questions because you guys all sent in a lot per usual. And I scrolled through, and there were definitely certain ones that keep getting repeated. So I will be right back, and then we will dive into all of those. You guys, I cannot believe it, but summer is about to start kindergarten. Like, summer, the season is almost over. I have been told by everyone that the summer before kindergarten is the last time your kid is actually a kid. And that really hit me because I'm like, okay, by the time you go back to school, the season of summer has basically made you a completely different person. It's when you really develop your own sense of style for the new school year. One thing I remember is going school shopping with my mom and going to Ross, where you can dress for less. And it was my favorite. I loved going school shopping, getting new shoes, new backpacks. For everything this school year has in store, Ross has your style for it at 20 to 60% off other retailers' prices. So for kids, I mean, it's the ideal place to explore styles and help them get ready to start a new school year with new friends and a new class. And even if your kids are in uniforms, they need shoes, they need socks, they need backpacks, they need all of the things. Ross has absolutely everything for back to school shopping, from dorm room decorations, kids' school supplies, and literally clothes for everyone. You don't just have to get stuff for your kids, you can get stuff for yourself too. But I know that we are approaching that time when I need to take Summer to Ross and do a little shopping of our own because school is just around the corner. Find your nearest Ross at rossstores.com. Okay, and this is something I've been talking about for weeks on the pod because we just need to keep talking about it. I feel like I have unlocked something here with Resort Pass. So, you know how you're always talking about it feels like you need to give yourself permission to rest or that you just have to earn it somehow? Well, this year, we're changing that, okay? And Resort Pass is making it easy for us to actually do just that. So, here is the concept. Are you ready? Resort Pass gives you access to luxury hotel pools, spas, and cabanas for the day. No overnight stay, no membership, you just book it. Passes start as low as $25, and then boom, you are poolside for the day, drink in hand, massage, whatever you want. I mean, that's genuinely the whole thing. There's no more needing to book an overnight stay or having to go to a loud day party just to enjoy a pool with a great view, you know? This makes taking a much needed and much deserved, might I add, break so incredibly easy. I'm doing this with a couple moms next week just as a little personal reset before our girls are off to school because I feel like a girls' day by the pool is just what us moms need. And all of this is possible through Resort Pass. It takes no more than 5 minutes to book, and they even have same day booking. So if you just suddenly have a free day, know that they work with over 2,500 hotels and resorts to provide you with the same luxury hospitality that you would experience as an overnight guest. Go to resortpass.com/Scheana and use code Scheana for $20 off your first booking of $100 or more. Resortpass.com/Scheana, code Scheana. Resort Pass. The day is yours. Okay, I'm back. This feels like a Vanderpump Rules reunion when you're just like sobbing, and then Andy Cohen's like, "Let's switch gears." Um, well, speaking of reunions, a lot of questions, not only on Instagram, have come through, but a lot of people in my life have been texting me and asking what my reaction was to Lala talking about our beef on the reunion. How do you feel about what she said regarding your friendship? Do you think she was genuinely upset, et cetera, et cetera? So, yeah, I didn't get into this last week because Kiki and Christina hadn't seen the episode yet. And so I figured I would just take this week and go into it all by myself. The part that really stood out to me the most was when she said she doesn't recognize me anymore. And honestly, good, because I have put boundaries in place for the first time, like in my life, the first time in this friendship. And I'm not the same person I was a few years ago. I'm no longer the girl who had no boundaries, who let people walk all over her, you know, treat me poorly, and then just accepted it because I wanted to keep the peace and I'm a people pleaser and I cared more about other people's feelings than my own. This wasn't about one isolated incident, but it was a pattern that went on for years. I mean, and even now, I'm continuing to learn things. Um, I'm continuing to learn about things that were happening behind the scenes that were hurtful and damaging to both me and my relationships. And I've said this on the podcast before. You know, the issue isn't that Lala has changed, it's that I have. I really don't feel like she has changed. I've done a lot of work on myself. I've been in therapy for years. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that not every friendship is meant to last forever. You know, some relationships become unhealthy, and sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away. You have to, you know, choose yourself. And I do not wish her any ill will. I genuinely hope one day we can get to a cordial place where we can coexist and our girls can have play dates without any awkwardness. I don't like carrying negative energy with anyone. I'm also like, I'm never going to keep my daughter back, like hold her back from one of her best friends. If she wants a play date, we will make it happen. I know Brock and Lisa have been texting over the past week to try and find a time to get the girls together. But like, this isn't about refusing to repair the friendship. I've tried many, many times. And I just feel like there comes a point when you realize that you've exhausted every avenue and you have to accept that someone just wasn't capable of being the kind of friend that you needed. I don't believe that that friendship was healthy, and I don't believe it was rooted in someone who truly wanted the best for me, and that's hard to accept because I felt differently for years, and I sacrificed a lot for her, and it broke my heart. So her heart may be broken, but her actions caused that. And I know people are asking me like, "Well, why can't you forgive her?" I can, and I have. Like, I saw this on, I think it was like a Jay Shetty podcast or something. It was like, apology accepted, access denied. And I live by that. I have to do what is best for me, and that friendship was only hurting me, and that's not the kind of friendship I wanna be in. I also saw some questions asking my thoughts on Lala saying you took it to the streets. First of all, I don't like when she talks like that. I don't like those references. Um, it's like if we really wanna talk about who brought it, I don't think that was me, if I'm being honest, and please correct me if I'm wrong for those of you who have been following along, but I feel like the first time people started questioning whether there was a rift between us was when my book came out and one of my closest friends didn't acknowledge or support it publicly for over a week. That's what got people talking. So it was almost like your lack of taking it to the streets, as she likes to say, is what took it there. I was doing press almost every day at that time, so naturally I was being asked about our friendship, and the reality is I was trying to protect it, not just behind the scenes, but publicly too, and it made it hard because, like, behind the scenes, I reached out repeatedly. I called her, I tried to make plans. I even carved out a time to see her when I was home for, like, I don't know, 24, 36 hours in the middle of my book tour because I wanted to have those conversations behind closed doors. I wanted to be able to finish my book tour and to say, things are good. And there even was a moment during one of my live shows where I called her on stage to dispel the notion that there was any rift. I was trying to protect her publicly while she was hurting me privately. And I just wanted the audience to think everything was good. I was so thankful when she didn't answer because it would have been a little awkward. But when she didn't answer, I just kind of laughed it off and commented, like, "Oh, it's close to bedtime for the kids." And I tried to reassure everyone that there wasn't an issue because I genuinely wanted to keep our friendship intact. And looking back, that was actually like a really lonely experience. Here I was in the middle of like one of the biggest moments of my career, standing on stage and then sitting through interview after interview, trying to explain why one of my closest friends couldn't find the time to support me. It's like while I was defending her and trying to convince everyone and maybe even myself that everything was fine, she just she couldn't support me. And it was very frustrating. And then I saw Lala did like an Instagram live, or maybe it was a story or Amazon, whatever it was. And people asked what was going on between us. And when they asked her that, she had an opportunity to keep it private or take accountability. Instead, she said, Scheana is Scheana-ing, and was just like, just kind of brushed it off like everything will be fine. It's just Scheana-ing. And that only fueled the negative narratives people already love to project onto me, which was very frustrating. And even after that, I still didn't tell the real story. I never publicly explained what was actually behind our falling out until Lala chose to discuss it on her podcast. And that's when she framed it as though our issues were simply because she didn't post about my book, that my expectations were impossible for her to meet, and that she could never make me happy and she didn't understand why I just couldn't be happy. Like, I'm very happy. Um, Not today because I've been sad this week, but in general, especially at that time, even with everything I put in the book, like I was happy. I was proud of myself. It was one of the biggest things I accomplished. So I don't know. I guess I feel like this just reduced a much deeper and much more painful pattern in our friendship into me sounding like this spoiled, ungrateful toddler throwing a tantrum over an Instagram post. And like, no, 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 that wasn't the truth. At that point, I felt like I had every right to tell my side of the story. And I wasn't the one who made our friendship public. I was responding after my character had already been publicly defined in a way that I don't believe was accurate. You know, if someone's gonna tell the whole world why your friendship ended and in doing so misrepresent what actually happened, I think it's fair that you tell your own truth. So, another question about that, how could you forgive Brock for cheating but not for Lala telling people about it? Again, I can forgive. It doesn't mean we have to stay friends. I understand why people are making that comparison, but to me, they are two completely different situations. For one, it took me years to forgive Brock, okay? That wasn't something that happened overnight. It was a lot of work. It was therapy for months. It was a lot of hard conversations, accountability, growth, and just rebuilding trust over time. It's something that we're honestly still working on in our relationship, and I think we always will be working on. With Lala, this wasn't the first time that she had betrayed my trust, and even this time, her betraying my trust wasn't actually what ended our friendship. I mean, it was hurtful, but it wasn't the only reason I walked away. What ultimately broke the friendship was what came afterward. After I found out that she had told Jenna, I said, I just need a little time to process this. Like, this is really heavy. This is a big betrayal. Because also around the same time, I found out Janet had told Brittany. And so I'm dealing with two of my closest friends doing this to me. One with, I mean, both with good intentions, but like just not okay, not your place. And I asked Lala, and I talked about this back in October on my podcast, but when I asked for some time to process this, I didn't even get 24 hours before I received the longest gaslighting text of my life. Like the deflection, the lack of accountability, and a pattern of behavior that had been building for years. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that you can't truly move forward from something until everyone involved is willing to acknowledge what happened, take accountability for their part, and show that there's been growth. You know, that's how trust gets rebuilt. I've experienced that with Brock over time. I unfortunately never experienced that in my friendship with Lala. And that really is the difference. So, yeah, a lot of things that she did really just broke my heart time after time after time. And I needed to stop being in a friendship that was breaking my heart over and over again. So I chose to walk away. That was a long-winded answer, but I felt like I needed to say that all because people just keep asking. Okay, let's see. Did Janet and Jason go into the reunion prepared to throw you under the bus with Lacey? Why are J and J so quick and unified to make sure you are the one taking the fall? Why do you think they made you the fall guy on a show you're not on? Okay, so honestly, I don't know what their motives were, so I can't speak to that, but it definitely felt convenient to shift the blame onto someone who wasn't even on the reunion stage to defend herself, you know? Um, what I can speak to, and I think I had a little side comment on the podcast last week that has been in slow-mo and posted that Kiki and Christina didn't even hear until it was slow-mo posted on TikTok or whatever. But, like, one thing I can speak to that is fact is that Janet said, "I researched Lacey," and that is simply not true. I didn't, because Janet was the one who was doing that. Um, if you know, like, Detective Doty, obviously, Kristen and Lacey are friends. Kristen didn't do this, but it's like, there's Detective Doty, and then there's Detective Janet. Those are the girls who look up people when they need to. I have never been that person. If I need someone looked up, I would go to Kristen or I would go to Janet. In this instance, Janet was the one doing that. She even had a conversation with Lacey, admitting to Lacey that she did this. So hearing my name brought into it was surprising because that just wasn't accurate. That wasn't true. I never looked her up. I clearly have gotten myself in trouble in the past for not looking people up. Um, but I still don't do it, and maybe that's on me. But, look, at the end of the day, I'm not on the valley. I wasn't there to tell my side of the story, and it appears to be one of those situations where it's easier to just point the finger to someone who isn't in the room than to take accountability yourself. So, that's that. Let's see, where else has my name been brought up? Are you surprised to see your name mentioned so many times in House of Stassi? Yeah, I'm surprised she hasn't started charging me rent for this space I seem to occupy in her mind, you know? Another question, if asked, would you go on season 2 House of Stassi? Have you seen the first season yet? That would depend on the check. I've seen 3 or 4 episodes. I didn't finish it because I kind of felt like everything was already posted on social media, and, I saw what happened at the Queen Mary with her and Beau. I'm like, "I guess I don't need to watch the full episode because 'cause I've already seen that bit of the fight." Um, I do still wanna watch Katie and Dana at emo night, though, so whatever episode that's in, I am still gonna watch that. As a proponent of therapy, what did you make of Stassi saying she doesn't believe in it? Look, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but, for me, therapy has been an absolute game changer. It's reminding me that I need to make an appointment with my therapist just to work through this grief I am currently going through and, to make sure that I grieve in a healthy manner and I don't, you know, take it out on Brock or I don't know. It just, it's different. But I do think with therapy, it comes down to finding the right therapist. I got very, very lucky with mine. I was on a wait list for months before I got with mine because I just knew this was the woman for me. Um, it's a really important relationship, and I feel like not every therapist is gonna be the right fit. If you've had one bad experience, that doesn't necessarily mean therapy isn't for you. It just, you have to be willing to do the work, and therapy isn't just about talking, it's about being open to growth, taking accountability, and truly making changes in your life. Um, I think it's helped me build healthier boundaries. It's helped me communicate better, and, therapy has really helped me just understand myself on a much deeper level. I think those of you who have been regulars listening to the podcast for years can see the growth that I've done, and one thing I know for sure is that reality TV is definitely not a substitute for therapy. It does force you to have hard conversations that maybe you would normally sweep under the rug. It does force accountability and resolution, but it doesn't just substitute for therapy. I am a therapy stan, and I highly recommend. If you need one, you get one. Okay, let me take one more quick break. I need to hydrate. BRB. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about fitness because I know a lot of you don't know what to do at the gym, or maybe you're tired of doing random workouts from YouTube or Instagram with no results. So this is where I want to tell you about Ladder. Ladder gives you a real plan from an expert coach. I personally love strength training. I have been growing the booty for the past year, and the clothes are starting to fit different in the best way possible. I wanted to achieve a bigger butt, and strength training is really the only way to do it. Also, eating a lot of your protein. But if you're looking to grow your glutes or your biceps, build an hourglass physique, get defined abs for vacation, or maybe just improve your endurance, Ladder gets you there with expert guidance. Like, I've always known that I should be strength training, but I never knew what to do. So if I didn't have a trainer, then I'm like, okay, what exercises, how many sets, what weight, how do I actually get stronger? And that's exactly what the Ladder app does for you. Like, if you told me an app could replace my personal trainer, I would have laughed. But honestly, Ladder is the closest thing I've found. You get a new plan every week from a real coach, and it talks you through every single rep. With Ladder, you get a new plan every week that builds on the last. The workouts connect. Each week progresses from the one before through structured training blocks. It works for any strength training style you prefer. Your progress is tracked automatically, and there's a real community behind it. And the best part, it costs less than $1 a day, and Ladder now includes nutrition tracking at no extra cost. Remove the guesswork with Ladder and get a real coach in your ear telling you exactly what to do for every workout. No thinking, everything planned for you. If you have an iPhone, head to ladder.fit/goodasgold and take a quick quiz to find your perfect Ladder plan. Use my link and get a free 7-day trial with no credit card and $10 off your first month if you join. All right, I'm back. I'm hydrated. How is your mental health doing? How do you deal with anxiety and intrusive thoughts? 150 milligrams of Zoloft definitely helps. I would say on most days, my mental health is doing quite well. Therapy, boundaries, and surrounding myself with good, positive people has really, truly helped. How did you find your way back to being yourself outside of just mommy after you had a kid? I'm very fortunate that I have my mom so close to help with summer, because that gave me the ability to still travel with Brock, do work trips. And as hard as it was to leave her at first, I knew that I still needed to live my life and feel like me. Because if I feel like I'm the best version of myself, then I can show up as the best version of myself for her. And honestly, having Brock home with her so much has been an incredible help. She gets to spend so much time with both of us. But when I have to go on a trip like this weekend, I will be in Chicago doing a drag brunch. I posted the info. If you are in Chicago, it's happening tomorrow, and it's going to be so much fun. It's like a whole Bravo theme. I don't know how much I can say. Some might be a surprise. But for things like this, I'm so thankful I have Brock and my mom to help with her, because I still get to be me. Why would you burn bridges from your past? I feel like I've addressed this before, but speaking your truth isn't the same as burning bridges. Like, for a long time, I stayed quiet, I protected other people, and I prioritized keeping the peace, even when it came at my own expense. But at some point, I just realized that telling my story doesn't make me the villain. I also really don't like this narrative because it can silence people from sharing their truth. And it creates this idea that if you speak honestly about your experience, you're the one doing something wrong. No, no, no. I mean, because meanwhile, that just allows the person whose behavior caused the hurt to avoid accountability altogether. And if someone feels my truth reflects poorly on them, I mean, that's not because I told it, it's because of the choices they made. So I'm not, sharing these stories to tear anyone down or rewrite history. I'm simply sharing my experience because it's mine to tell. And no, I don't see that as burning bridges. I see it as refusing to keep carrying things in silence to protect people who weren't protecting me. Simple as that. Accountability shouldn't be mistaken for bridge burning, and honesty shouldn't be mistaken for betrayal. So that's what I have to say about that. Why is everyone always talking about you? What show do you think you'll be brought up on next? Honestly, I don't know what other shows I could feasibly pop up on. But here we are. I'm like, did Allie talk about me on Perfect Match? Like in Netflix? I'm like, what Netflix show is gonna bring me up now? No, I'm kidding. Um, have you seen in the comments about people wanting you to be on the Valley? I've seen them. I hear you. I've also seen plenty from the other side who don't want me on the show. Look, at the end of the day, you're never going to make everyone happy. And that's something I've really learned over the years. So instead of trying to please everyone else, I've focused on making the decisions that are right for me and my family and make me happy. And it's really all you can do. If there was a current show you were invited to join, what would you say yes to? At this point, probably anything scripted. I would just really love to put my acting hat back on. And, that might be happening sooner than later. So stay tuned. Don't you hate when people say that? Stay tuned. So annoying. Sorry. Luke is getting shit for not watching the season. You've gotten flack for not watching as well ahead of the reunion. Do you get the viewer frustration? First of all, I would like to correct this narrative that I only fast forward to watch my own scenes. I said I fast forward through my scenes, not to my scenes. Season 6, I was not in a good place mentally. I had just started therapy in person back then. This is pre-pandemic. We're in 2017, 2016, going through a divorce, then going through a breakup. And yeah, it was the beginning of 2018. Rob and I had been broken up, and rewatching that relationship while trying to live my best life in Las Vegas. I completely deleted Instagram from my phone. I was only on Snapchat because no one could respond to me on that. My sister was running my account. I would post on Snapchat, save it. She would post it to Instagram. So I was still active. But once I moved to Vegas, my therapist, they weren't really doing Zoom back then. So I stopped therapy and I wasn't in a great place mentally. So I understand when people say, like, I don't want to watch the show back. It's bad for my mental health. However, I did watch the entire season. I just fast forwarded through the conversations and scenes with Rob because I knew exactly what I said and in those moments, and we weren't together anymore. For Luke is a little different, and I did give him shit at Jasmine and Melissa's rehearsal dinner for this. I'm like, dude, you have the reunion next week. You need to watch. If you don't want to watch every conversation with Kristen, like, because you remember that, like, okay, I get that, but you need to see what everyone else is saying. And if it is not good for your mental health, if it's too hard to watch back, I mean, that's the job. That's what you're getting paid for. So if the job is too hard, then you don't do the job. But I also, it's like I understand, but it's frustrating when people don't watch because then you're just asking questions and they're like, wait, what? Who said that? What happened? But what's more frustrating is when people don't show up for a reunion and take accountability and sit in the hot seat. Not going to name names. Was it hard getting into a public relationship with someone who didn't have the best past? Hard getting into it, no. Hard navigating it. Navigating it at times, yes. Did you grow up knowing your family on your bio dad's side? Yes, my whole life. I'm still super close with those cousins. Most of the family is in Vegas, and I see them almost every time I get out there. Oh, how are the kittens doing? How's the injured one? How are Salem and Penny Lane getting along with them? Kiwi's doing good. Um, he should be off crate rest any day now. The x-ray machine at the vet is broken, so I'm just waiting for them to fix that or send me somewhere else. And yeah. But Salem loves the kittens, and Penny just ignored them. She was the queen of downstairs. They hung a lot upstairs, and when they came down, they just gave her space. Ah, let's see. I'm emotional right now. So when is your next emo night? I don't know, but apparently we're not supposed to like announce that before because they like all of the DJ guests to be a surprise. So if I did know when my next time was, I probably couldn't tell you. Any update on how things are going with Stallone in the studio? I'm obsessed with the 8 Down song you played at Hoopla and need that track. So we've finished our second song, and it's very much a summer anthem, but I don't want to rush putting this out. I'm not ready to put it out. This is a very special project for me, and we're still going between, are we going to do an EP or a full album? So we will be in the studio for the rest of the year getting that ready for hopefully next spring or summer to release it. And then I just want to tour the world, whether that's with Stallone, the band, the pod. Something will get me traveling the world. I just know it. Any fun celeb stories you can share? Oh my God, you guys. I ran into Nick Cannon at dinner the other night. We were at Thai Show in the Valley. It is so good. If you haven't been, it's incredible. And we're walking in and he's walking out. I might have had sunglasses on. I don't know, but I wasn't in my bat costume, you know? And so he walks out, we make eye contact, and I was like, "Oh, hi." And we follow each other on social media, and he was like, "Hey." But then it was like he thought I was like a fan for a second, but then he realized he knew me, but looked a little confused. And I was like, "It's Bat." I was like, Scheana. He's like, "Oh my God, duh. Hi, how are you?" And I go, "That's okay. You got a lot of women in your life. You can't keep them all straight. I get it." And he literally laughed out loud, said that that was funny and also true, introduced me to his friend. We had a good laugh. We talked about the show. He said that it was, to date, one of the most iconic costumes that has ever been on that show, and that I left a mark on the show for that one episode I was in. I showed him my tattoo because that show also left a mark on me. But it was just that is just so LA when you're just going to dinner with the moms for a night out and you run into a celebrity. But I loved that I made him laugh. Giggly Squad said I have good comedic timing, and I'm realizing they're right. Okay, to wrap it up, my flowers of the week are gonna go to the team at MySpace. Who remembers their top 8? I don't. I wish I did. But they're talking about bringing the platform back with a real focus on just like real connections instead of algorithms. And honestly, I kind of love that idea. I miss when social media was actually social. You know, you saw your friends, you discovered new music, you customized your profile. I was stellar at coding. Like, I literally knew coding. I made my own page. It had all the sprinkles and sparkles, and you know, it didn't feel like you were constantly performing for an algorithm. It was fun. Let's bring back the fun of social media. However, my Jaxhole also is going to go to MySpace because why are you making us relive the anxiety of picking a top 8? I truly cannot remember who was in my top 8, but like nothing tested a friendship quite like getting bumped from someone's top 8. You know, the stress was real, and I'm not sure I'm emotionally ready to go through that again. So, if the platform comes back, I might just have like a top 1, and that is like my husband. And that's it, because to pick 8, it just it gives me anxiety. I don't like picking anymore. Thank you guys for listening. I love doing these solo moments with you. I get to just pour my heart out, and I did have more questions to get into, but I'm going to save that for the next one, and because I got a birthday party to get to tonight. But thank you guys so much for just seriously everyone who commented on the post I did for Penny today. Your words mean the world to me, and I know she felt all of the love. She loved being on camera, and I am going to miss her very much. But I'll be back next week, hopefully not crying. Okay, bye.
I've been searching for this all my life. You're just my type. I've been looking for a